Scrooge McDuck is taking a swim in his colossal vault of cash spanning 3 cubic acres. His aquatic enjoyment is abruptly interrupted as he realizes he's running late for an engagement. Swiftly changing from his swimsuit to his usual attire, Scrooge rushes to the pier. At the waterfront, his nephew, Donald Duck, now enlisted in the Navy, is all set to leave. As Scrooge arrives, Donald bids farewell to his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, entrusting them to Scrooge's care during his absence. The boys, initially reluctant to stay with Scrooge, and Scrooge, equally unenthused about the idea, find themselves in this arrangement because Scrooge is the only one Donald trusts with the responsibility. After Donald departs, Scrooge brings the boys to his mansion, introducing them to Duckworth the butler. The boys, confined to the attic for meals, receive a letter from Donald detailing his Navy adventures. Post-reading, they manage to venture around the mansion, much to Scrooge's chagrin. Under strict orders to keep them inside the mansion, Duckworth is frustrated when the boys cleverly use a curtain sash to tie him up. Despite initial resistance, Scrooge reluctantly allows the trio to explore his money bin, emphasizing a hands-off policy. Seeking distraction, Scrooge attempts to shoo away solicitors, including the leader of the Junior Woodchucks, whose proposal intrigues him. Just then, the nephews, intending to send a small wooden ship to Donald, provoke Scrooge's anger, forcing him to ground them. Meanwhile, 3 members of the Beagle Boys, Big Time, Burger, and Bouncer, successfully break out of prison using bombs cleverly disguised as bonbons. Their rendezvous with El Capitan, the individual behind the scent explosives, takes place at the abandoned Ola-Range Theater. El Capitan, an anthropomorphic dog concealed in a trench coat, orchestrated their escape due to their expertise in navigating Scrooge's money bin. His intention is for them to steal a miniature wooden ship from the bin. In the midst of their predicament with Scrooge's discipline, the nephews decide to leave home. However, their plans change when they spot El Capitan on the streets. Noticing the Beagle Boys inside the money bin, they investigate but are unable to prevent the thieves from taking the model ship. Despite their failure, the criminals inadvertently leave behind a map of Scrooge's money bin on the reverse side of a theater flyer. Awoken by the alarm, Scrooge enters the scene, and although the boys attempt to explain, he remains skeptical, believing them to be the sole culprits interested in stealing the miniature boat. The nephews figure out that the theater advertised on the flyer is the Beagle Boys' hideout. Utilizing the Junior Woodchucks guidebook, they craft a hang glider to escape from the attic. Fueled by whispers of the legendary Valley of the Golden Suns, Scrooge McDuck embarks on a daring quest to claim its riches. His first hurdle? Securing the map's missing half, held captive by the enigmatic High Golden Sun priest, Joaquin Slowly. But reaching Slowly's mountaintop fortress isn't for the faint of heart. To navigate the treacherous terrain, Scrooge enlists the genius of Gyro Gearless to craft a one-of-a-kind aircraft and the piloting skills of the ever-optimistic Launchpad McQuack. Adding to the mix is Scrooge's nephew, Donald Duck, on a 3-day leave in the very mountains they must traverse. Scrooge McDuck, consumed by the allure of a treasure map, embarks on a solo expedition to Antarctica to find the map's other half. Worried about their patriarch's recklessness, Launchpad, Mrs. Beakley, Webby, and the boys secretly follow him. Their journey leading them to a hidden city of intelligent penguins. Mistaken for a treasure thief, Scrooge finds himself imprisoned while his family hatches a comical escape plan, befriending the penguins along the way. Through a series of misadventures and a touch of Scrooge's generosity, the truth about the map is revealed, leading to a shared treasure and a newfound appreciation for their icy neighbors. Scrooge McDuck's insatiable thirst for gold leads him and his reluctant companions on a perilous journey to the fabled Valley of the Golden Suns. Armed with one half of the treasure map and fueled by rumors of untold riches, Scrooge races against the clock and his own greed to claim the prize before the nefarious El Capitan, a centuries-old pirate, gets his hands on it. Accompanied by his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, along with the ever-loyal Launchpad McQuack and the ever-reliable Mrs. Beakley, Scrooge braves treacherous jungle rapids and navigates booby-trapped ruins, his obsession with gold growing with each step. He throws caution to the wind, endangering himself and his companions, until a near-death experience forces him to confront the destructive power of his greed. Meanwhile, El Capitan, lurking in the shadows, waits for the opportune moment to swoop in and claim the treasure. A thrilling showdown ensues in the heart of the valley, where molten gold threatens to engulf everything in its path. Ultimately, it's not the promise of riches but the bonds of family and loyalty that prevail, as Scrooge and his crew escape the fiery inferno, leaving El Capitan to his golden fate. Scrooge McDuck's life takes a nostalgic turn, as he reminisces about how his iconic dime, the number 1 dime, kick-started his fortune. It all begins with a young Scrooge, fueled by his father's advice about working smarter, ditching his shovel for odd jobs, and eventually earning his first dime from a grumpy old peddler. This small victory ignites Scrooge's entrepreneurial spirit, leading him on a series of adventures around the world, from polishing shoes in London to panning for gold in the Klondike. Each experience, filled with both triumph and hardship, shapes Scrooge's understanding of money and the importance of hard work. Through it all, his number 1 dime becomes a symbol of his determination and resourcefulness. Meanwhile, back in the present, Scrooge shares his story with his nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, who are temporarily entrusted to his care. Initially bored by their confinement, the boys become captivated by their uncle's tales, gaining a new appreciation for his journey and the values he embodies. Scrooge recounts his final act of generosity, using his dime to help a struggling artist in Paris. A spy named Bruno von Beek, resembling Launchpad, is chased by secret agents at the Duckburg airport. Bruno escapes via plane, then leaps to a building and jumps into a manhole. The agents follow him. They end up on a subway train, where Bruno is trampled by passengers. Meanwhile, the real Launchpad, unaware, is given a suitcase by a spy and then apprehended by the same agents who mistake him for Bruno. The agents take Launchpad to J. Gander Hoover of the Duckburg Intelligence Agency. Scrooge arrives to clarify the situation. The agents then bring Bruno, prompting J. Gander to propose that Launchpad impersonate Bruno to stop Dr. No-Goods, who is planning to destroy all the money in the world. Launchpad, now a 00 Duck, receives spy gear from Gyro, including a versatile vehicle called the Thunder Clutch. He heads to Geneva, but misinterprets a message and ends up in New Delhi. After finding the correct contact, Feathers galore, Launchpad is ambushed but manages to escape with her help. Feathers, however, turns against him, leading to a chaotic chase. Launchpad infiltrates a FOWL base, where Dr. No-Good plans to destroy money worldwide. Launchpad alerts the DIA, but is captured by Dr. No-Good. With Feathers' help, he defeats Dr. No-Good and returns to Duckburg, declining further spy work to continue his adventures with Scroogey. Scrooge McDuck, ever the shrewd businessman, sees opportunity in a supposedly haunted castle. Ignoring rumors of a resident ghost, Dr. Ludwig von Strangeduke, he transforms it into a luxurious hotel, hoping to attract wealthy guests and boost his fortune. He even enlists his loyal crew, Mrs. Beakley and Webby as maids, and Huey, Dewey, and Louie as bellhops, to help run the operation. However, things take a sinister turn when ghostly occurrences begin to plague the hotel. Floating objects, disembodied laughter, and slamming doors send chills down the spines of guests and staff alike. Even Scrooge, initially skeptical, starts to question his decision. The nephews, initially excited by the eerie atmosphere, soon find themselves caught in the middle of the ghostly mayhem. As the mystery deepens, Scrooge investigates the castle's history and uncovers a hidden lab belonging to Dr. Strangeduck. He discovers the ghost is actually the lab assistant, disguised by an invisibility potion, seeking to steal a box of jewels left behind by the deceased doctor. In a climactic showdown, the real Dr. Strangeduck, who had been faking his death for years, appears, revealing his plan to reclaim his stolen fortune. In the end, with a little help from the repentant lab assistant, Scrooge and his family foil Dr. Strangeduck's scheme. The hotel remains open for business, now with a new spooky charm. Scrooge McDuck, notorious bachelor and sworn enemy of matrimony, finds himself unexpectedly engaged. The culprit? A clever scheme concocted by the Beagle Boys, who aim to steal Scrooge's fortune by tricking him into marrying their dim-witted accomplice, Ma Beagle. Using a forged will and a love potion disguised as a new brand of soda, the Beagle Boys manipulate Scrooge into believing he's proposed to Ma. The nephews, suspicious and determined to protect their uncle, launch their own investigation. With her keen detective skills, Webby uncovers the Beagle's plot while Huey, Dewey, and Louie resort to hilarious antics to sabotage the wedding. Meanwhile, Scrooge, initially oblivious to the deception, finds himself surprisingly charmed by Ma's down-to-earth nature and her genuine appreciation for his quirks. He starts questioning his ingrained bachelor lifestyle, even contemplating the possibility of marriage. This internal conflict and the nephew's frantic attempts to expose the truth create a whirlwind of comedic chaos. The climax unfolds at the wedding ceremony, where Webby bursts in with the evidence, exposing the Beagle's scheme. Realizing she was used, Ma turns against her family and helps Scrooge and the nephews apprehend the Beagle Boys. In the aftermath, Scrooge, though relieved to be single again, acknowledges Ma's genuine kindness and offers her a permanent job at his mansion.